Hey there! I used to make a lot of miniature foods years ago, mostly as jewelry. I'm working on a book nook right now that's going to have a lot of miniature foods, so it's really fun to get back to that again. I knew I wouldn't finish the whole nook in time for this video, so I did a smart. Instead of rushing and doing the whole huge video, I'm doing the foods today, and the next video will be the whole nook. I hope you enjoy Tiny Food Day! While we've been chatting, I've been making some little dishes and we're going to try my new liquid silicone mold to make some molds. I also got this amazing thin polystyrene sheet. I've been watching other miniature crafters use this to make the most precise little things, and I've always wanted to try it for myself. Finally, I spotted it at Blix and I grabbed some. I made the tiny bento box out of this, and it's tricky, but I'm looking forward to trying other things with it. Time to make the mold. I'm making a little mold box from cardboard and then lining it with tape so that nothing leaks. This is my first time using this kind of silicone, and the instructions left a lot to be desired. I knew it was a 1-to-1 ratio, but I had to guess if that was volume or weight. Since I don't have 2-part epoxy resin, we're using UV resin. If I tried to do this in my regular silicone putty, it would never work since the light would never get to all the areas. The pour was definitely satisfying though. 10 out of 10 would pour this again. Fingers crossed that it works. It did, but it was a little sticky. I popped all the dishes out and I gave it a try. Bubbles. My nemesis. Sometimes when you're pouring resin in a mold, air bubbles will get trapped, or they'll be in the resin and don't work their way out before curing. I've found that the smaller the mold is, the harder it is to get those bubbles out. Try it again. I took this opportunity to play with some of my resin dyes. I'll be painting almost all of these, but I wanted to test the colors so I know what they're like for future projects. After getting a few dishes with no bubbles, I'm going ahead and painting them. I love the lacquer look of the red and black bento boxes, so we're doing that. For the dishes, I wanted to do a stoneware kind of look, like these nubbly things. I crushed up some pepper to try and get the right texture. I'll mix it in with just a little bit of white and a tiny bit of ochre to get that white pottery look. I added extra pepper flakes here and there and painted over them again. They're still a little big, but I think I like it. Now for the first official food. What? It's already done? Sorry everyone. Remember how I said I used to do jewelry? I made this cane close to 8 years ago for sushi earrings. I still have a lot left, so I'm just warming it up in my hands and squishing it to reduce it. If you want me to make a video about doing sushi canes, please let me know in the comments. I just had so much left, I wanted to make good use of it. Beautiful plating is something I've always loved about Japanese food, so I'm trying to pay homage to that. I made a little leaf and I'll place the sushi on it. Ta-da! Next up, one of my favorite treats, gyoza! I'm using translucent clay and ecru to get the dough color, and then rolling them into puffy little half moons. I couldn't actually do a proper fold because they're so small, so I pinched up the top and drew the fold lines on with my tiny chisel clay shaper. It did work, but then I realized they were way too big. So I recut the dough, and the shaper tool wasn't small enough to do what I needed, so I ended up using an old pair of tweezers to pinch it into shape. See the size difference? Time for colors! I took out my pastels and dabbed on some orange and brown. I also used my watercolor pencils to get more of the crispy bits. Once they were baked, it's time to plate them. The tweezers came in handy again for this. I should really get the rust off if I'm going to be using them. Voila! Tiny gyoza! Next up, another favorite. It's tempura time! I thought about making vegetable tempura, which I adore, but I think shrimp is much more iconic and easier to identify in a tiny book nook. I actually checked the size this time before starting. See? I'm learning. I used a tiny bit of red with the translucent clay to get the tails. When it's baked, it will become less opaque and hopefully more shrimp-like. Ah, the panko crumbs. I'm absolutely a crazy person. I decided that it was necessary to make individual panko crumbs, even if they were going to be a little too large for the scale. I just didn't think the other textures I tried looked tempura-ish enough. I spent so much time making the little crumbs and adding them slowly to the shrimp. I painted the tails with just a little watercolor to get into the crevices and glued them to the plate. Who doesn't love a good bento box? They're so great, we have to make two, starting with the rice. I just put some white clay in and used round tools and eventually my pointy tool to get the texture. You may be thinking, why the paper? Why not bake it in place? No, my friends, do not put resin and acrylic paints in your oven. With the rice done, let's move on to the veggies. I adore lotus root, so I'm definitely adding that to my bento. I love it when the bento boxes have cute little paper cups for the veggies, so I made one, and then I had to pick which veggies to add. The green bean and carrots were boring, so we skipped the part about making those. When I was breading my shrimp, I also made a katsu. It looked a little flat and boring, so I'm using some washes to make it tastier. For the other bento, I made little salmon chunks with a yummy sauce. I scored the fish and used my pastels to make it look cooked. This was definitely a trust the process moment. It looked like such a dry, overcooked fish. I got my UV resin and one of the brown dyes, and I mixed up a sauce. That's so much tastier. Fry it in the light. Add some pickled veggies that were just strips of green and red. Give them a little moisture. And the bentos are done. Time for a coffee break while I figure out what's next. How about some zaru udon? It's hot out now, and cold noodles seem like quite the thing to do. Usually noodles are served on a sort of bamboo mat, so I'm making one to go on the plate. Noodle time! The process is exactly what you think it is. Make a noodle. Cut the noodle. Shape the noodle aesthetically in a pile. Garnish. Bake it all and glue it together on the plate. I used one of my cup molds to make a sauce cup, and we're good to go. In my book nook, there's going to be a ramen stall, so let's make some ramen. I'm making some scallions by doing a very small and poorly blended Skinner blend. Usually I'd be more careful with this and not use really sticky clay like I am, but I knew I was going to cut it up anyway, so it didn't really matter. I'm taking some bits from the light side and some from the darker side to make sure we have good variations, and poking holes in the middle. Next up, one of my favorite things to have in ramen, egg or ajitama. It was super easy. I made an egg shape, cut it in half, and added some of my very orangey yolk, and done! No ramen is complete without a nice crispy square of nori, so I rolled out some black clay and squished it between two crumbly pieces of tinfoil for texture and cut little squares. Ta-da! Look at all our delicious ingredients! Time to assemble! The sprouts came out really big, but oh well. This made me really want ramen. Even if this is supposed to be shoyu ramen, a broth made with soy sauce, I really love tonkatsu. Maybe that will be my weekend treat this week. I mixed up a nice shoyu broth color while the ingredients were baking, and then dipped a little in the bottom to make sure that we don't have any air bubbles down there. I didn't bother gluing all the ingredients together because I knew we'd have resin to do that job. And here's my little display window. It's fakeception. It's miniature fake food, showing fake food. Japan has absolutely amazing fake food displays, so I had to make this for my Nook. A little sneak peek. I've been working on the counter where people will sit and eat, and you can see some of the buildings I've made so far. And the chaos. I always show you the nice zoomed in look or the pre-chaos desk, but this is much more typical. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the food day today. I'm going to get back to work on the Nook itself, so please come back for the next video where it all comes together. See you in the next one!